back to my YouTube channel, video number 2. My name is Megan from Itty Bitty Speech on Instagram on Teachers by Teachers. I create resources for itty bitty communicators to help them to grow in their language and to help you. So this channel is going to be all about organizational tips for you as a speech path of itty bitties and ideas to use with your itty bitties. So I thought today we would do a quick tour. It might not be so quick because I want to go through every drawer of my language cart here. I brought this home for the summer because I wanted to use it. It's very organized, but I wanted to show it to you. So this is my language cart. I keep it next to my desk. I'm not next to my therapy table. That's where I keep this cart. Let me know in the comments if you want a tour of this cart. Let me pick it up. This is what I keep next to my desk, and it has my articulation materials, my describing materials, and my WH question materials, because those are the goals I target 10 times a day. This cart I keep next to my desk, and it is my language cart. Now, I don't use this for normal everyday therapy. I use this for teaching a new skill to a kid, and I use it for progress monitoring because I like to work on skills within the context of stories, thematic lessons, or play-based therapy, because I think that the kids really generalize the ideas and the skills better if you do it that way. So this I use for, again, progress monitoring. I can pull out any of these resources and get quick data on a kid before an IEP, before a progress report, or for my monthly Medicaid data. Or I use this to teach a new skill to a kid, or if they're really struggling and need something broken down. So I'm going to show you what's in each of these drawers. Again, I don't want this to look like a product placement for my resources. This is mostly my resources because I created exactly what I need. But anything that you have that, you can organize into bins, boxes, drawers, whatever, to easily grab for each skill. You don't need to buy this stuff. I will link all of this stuff in the description box, but you don't need to buy all this stuff. You can if you're missing a gap, but just go through all of your stuff, organize it by skill area, and then you will have a language cart like I do. So let's start at the top. I will show you my first drawer. These sometimes are a little tricky. I love them and I hate them. So my first drawer up here is categories. Oh, before I forget, this cart is from Michael's. It's actually, I have 2 of them. My other one has my phonology materials, which I did not bring home. But one of them was this clear color and one of them was this mint color, and I just alternated the drawers so that the cards matched. They also come in rainbow if you're a rainbow person, but my room, could you guess it, is pink and mint because that's what I love. So that's where the cart came from, and then these labels are those label pockets from the Target Bullseye's Playground. So I cut the long ones in half, and then I can always relabel things. I was having problems when I put sticky labels on things that I was having to peel them off and put them back on. So these are great because you can relabel things if you decide to reorganize, which I do all the time. So my first drawer is categories, which is something I do all the time. And I have a couple different things in here. I have these category cards, which are from my categories teaching kit, if you can see those. So these actually, there's 3 boxes of these, which is great because usually I have groups of no more than 3. And I can give them each one if we're doing some sort of task. So I have these categories cards, which are great for working on categories. The little pieces Velcro off. And you can give them, 2. You can take all the pieces off and have them sort them. You can put them in a bag or a bucket. So these are great to work on all different kinds of categories goals. And then I also have the worksheets that come with them, again, in these plastic sleeve protectors that are my favorite. If you haven't watched my first video, which is my top 5 SLP organizational tools, go watch that. This is one of my top organizational tools. So these are easy to grab, again, for independent work for a kid, if you're progress monitoring someone else or working with someone else, or to send home as homework. So I have those. And then I have some other matching cards from Especially Education. She's a special ed teacher who is half of Made For Me Literacy, which I adore. I'm not a special ed teacher and I love it. So I'll link that in the description box too. Make sure you go check that out. So these are season match, so you can match the clothing to what season you would wear it in. And then object match, different kinds of categories. You can, the food and the vehicles, just something a little different. So that's the first drawer, is categories. I'm going to try to put this back in without making them all fall, which is the hardest part. The second drawer is yes/no questions, which is something I target not quite as much. Yes/no questions are hard. They're harder than one might think. So I do this a lot with kids who have the language skill to target yes/no questions, but just have a lot of echolalia. I have a lot of kids like that. So this is my yes/no questions kit. So it has 3 interactive books that I use for the basics. There's a yes book, a no book, and a yes and no book. This is where I start to practice getting unique responses and not echoes. And then in this little container, I have sorting cards that are color-coded and not color-coded for these sorting mats. So this is the next step that we do. We'll start with the color-coded and I'll mix them up. So I have ones with green on the outside and ones with red, and then they know red goes with no and green goes with yes. And then when they've mastered that, we go on to the not color-coded. So that's the next step that I do when I practice yes/no questions with kids. And then the last step is these task cards. So they have visual yes and no, color-coded for our visual learners, many kids with autism are very visual learners, so that's why those are color-coded. So that's drawer number 2. Oh, this one did fall. This is the tricky part about these drawers. They're great, and they're not. Number 3 is verb tenses. I work on this a lot with my first graders. I really don't have students beyond 2nd grade, but these are from my Verb Tenses teaching kit. So I have visuals, so present participle, past tense, irregular, past and present tense with little visuals that are consistent across these cards. We use these cards to make sentences. And then I also have some worksheets in here as well to send home for homework. I have printed copies. I have a lot because I do this a lot. And then for use in the speech room, I laminated some half sheets and we write on them with dry erase markers. So I work on verb tenses all the time. That's a pretty common grammar goal. And then the next one is object functions, which is probably my second most common after categories, because green, blue, do. So this is my object functions teaching kit. So I have a lot of it in these little snap envelopes. If I added another favorite organizational tool, it would be these little snap envelopes. These are also from Amazon. I'll link them below. But my object functions teaching kit has a little sorting mat / sentence strip. I'm not going to take these out or this video is going to be forever long. It's already 8.5 minutes. So I have objects and functions and you can sort them on the mat. You use blank to blank and they're color coded. It also comes with worksheets. You can cut and paste. And then I also, with this one, since I was using the worksheets so often in therapy, I copied them on Astrobytes paper. I don't know if you can see that. And then with one of those, my favorite Target pockets in the back, I have the pieces and they can just sort them. This is a great task for kids when they're waiting for their turn, or so if you have really busybody kids, you can give them each one and you can put it in front of them and they have to, race or whatever to see who sorts them the quickest. So that's a hack with worksheets. I didn't even put Velcro on them. I just have the little pieces. So that's object functions. I also have, again, from Especially Education, she must be my special ed spirit animal because I love task cards like these. What does a doctor do? They help us when we get sick. What does a firefighter do? They keep us safe. This is for the part of Blue Do that's not so much objects as it is people. So that helps with that section. Next is sequencing. And I do this a lot too. I went through a phase. Does anybody else go through phases where they write the same goal a lot because of something that happened? So I had a student, I've said this before on Instagram, who had an intellectual disability, was in a self-contained classroom, but came off as pretty functional. and he somehow, we still don't know how, got on the wrong bus and went to the wrong school. He spent the entire day at that school. No one knows what he did. It was I don't want to bash charter schools, but it was a charter school. It was not very well run. We thought he didn't come to school today. We thought he was absent. We don't know where he went all day, and because of his inability to sequence and tell a story, he couldn't tell us what he did. So I went through a phase of writing a lot of sequencing and story retell goals. So my sequencing cards I use all the time. So there are 4-step sequences. I have them separated into fall and winter, spring and summer, and then everyday sequences. And then I have the worksheet version 2. I need to make these also into those laminated versions because I use these a lot too. But it's pretty great to do a few sequences in speech and then send home the same one as homework, and they get some supported practice because you already did it. So I do sequences all the time too. Pronouns. I have some pronoun sorting mats with sentence stems. So I see her, I see him, I see them. His, hers, and their, and she, is, he, his, and they are. And then I have the little cards for subject, pronouns, possessive, and object that they can sort to make those sentences. I have a lot of kids with 3- and 4-step utterances goals. The next drawer is story grammar. These are not all the way prepped, but these are my story grammar kits, which I'm obsessed with. Again, this was part of my year of my kids need to be able to tell a story. But I found that when I had kids that went straight to a story, it was too much for them. So I needed something that was just the pieces of the story so they could learn them. So that's why I made these. So for example, this story has a very clear character, a very clear setting, and 4 very distinct events. And there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 up in the corner. There are comprehension checks down here, so you can see if they're even getting this. There's comprehension questions to ask after the story. There's a mat for them to sequence and retell, and this is the basic sentence structure or story structure that I start my kids with. Who, was, where, first, next, then, and last. That's what the story structure I teach them. And then some describing cards. They can describe some things from the story. I find my kids who have story retell goals also are working on sentence or describing as well. Those kind of go hand in hand, that language level. Sorry, iced coffee. So that's story grammar. I have them organized by season. I have one story grammar kit per season, 3 stories per, and then also my little character and setting sort. If they don't know what a character and setting is yet, and we really need to drill that, I will have them first sort these, and then I will have them make a silly sentence starter. So we might say, the kids were in the car wash. And we'll just make a bunch of those beginning sentences so they know how to start a story. So that is sentence. I'm not going to put it back. Next is question foundations, my favorite. So these are my question foundations kit. Who, what, where, and when. I don't have a why question foundation, just task cards. So this is, I actually keep the the cards part of it in this over here because I use them all the time, every day. But for the initial teaching of what's the difference between a person and a thing, I don't use them quite as often, just in the initial teaching phase. So I have these in here that have like cut and paste sheets, parking lots, there's smash mats in here, dodder things, sorting activities, things like that for who, where, what. I don't know where when is, but they're all color coded. That's why I love these zipper pouches, because this is what, and if you go to orange, this is also what. So I don't know, I love these, and I love color coding. Or if you go to an interactive book, orange, also what. So it makes my heart happy. Anybody else love organization? So that is question foundations for teaching the foundations of WH questions. And then the last two drawers are unmarked. Right now in here I have my MLU books, my colorful MLU books, because I had a lot of kids this year who were working on 3-word utterances. But I switch this out sometimes depending on what my kids need that year. So there's one for every color, red, pink, purple. There's one for every color, interactive books, and they have a 4-word utterance. So I see red cherry, I see red crab, I see red truck, and you can just build utterances using colors. So that's that, and then this last one is a little bit of a catch-all. So I have in here some go-togethers. These are actually from Dollar Tree. I had one kid whose goal I didn't write with the associations goal, and these are really cool. I've shown these on Instagram before. I don't know if they still have them at Dollar Tree. I got them in maybe February. So you can put the two things together, what goes together, a pillow and a bed, and then they're self-checking. So if you flip them over, the picture matches together, and you can say, well, what do you use them for sleeping? So these are amazing, especially for $1. I should have bought all of them. I love them a lot. So that's in here. I have, I haven't posted these yet. Let me know in the comments if you want these as a freebie. I attempted my own version of these because I needed more. So for example, a bowling pin and a ball, what do you use them for to go bowling? I couldn't quite get the printing to line up, but if these are helpful to you, these go-togethers, self-checking cards, let me know in the comments, because I will post these as a freebie for you guys. So I have those in here. I have other Dollar Tree flashcards, so what is similar and what is different about pictures. These are colors and shapes, and then these are same and different. Find the things that are the same, find the ones that are different. As you know, if you follow me on Instagram, I do same and different as a bridge to comparing and contrasting all the time. And then in here is some, I don't know if I ever shared these. I'll have to look. Again, let me know in the comments if these are helpful. These are little buildings, and I put them, I have buckets. So these we use for whiteware in the EET beads. So like a kitchen, a pizza shop, a hospital, all those sorts of things. And then I have all these cards that they can sort. So you can pick a few and sort, where do you find it? So for example, you find a goat on a farm, you put that in the farm bucket or bag or whatever. Where do you find a pizza delivery guy, you put that in the pizza. So I don't think I ever posted this. I'll have to go check. This was really, really helpful because I was missing, one thing I was missing in my materials, I felt like, was a clear way to teach whiteware from the EET describing, because you know how much I love describing and you know how much I love the EET. So that is what is in my cart. Oh, these are alphabet cards. These are also from Dollar Tree. So that is what is in my language cart. I hope you found that helpful. Again, I don't want this to be like advertising product placement for all my stuff, just an idea of what drawers you can have in here in your own language cart or box or bin or whatever, the kinds of things you can put in it and how you can use it. Again, I use it to teach skills and to progress monitor. In the middle there, I use a lot of books, I use a lot of preschool language units, and a lot of play-based therapy. So let me know if this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if any of those freebies are useful to you, and if you want a tour of this cart. This one again has artic, WH questions, and describing. So let me know down in the comments. I don't know much about this YouTube thing, but I do know all the cool YouTubers say like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. I'm hoping to post more videos, more content. Let me know what you want to see from me. But otherwise, have a great day. Bye!